Speaker, yesterday the Farming Minister told a conference of farmers that farming is not high in the pecking order for this government. Given the heartless family farm tax, is his minister correct? Yes or no?
What should be done with Keir Starmer when he's exposed for speaking falsely? Just a few days ago, Labour's Agriculture Minister Daniel Ziegner told farmers that agriculture isn't among the administration's main concerns. This sent shockwaves across Britain, with citizens condemning Starmer for abandoning the farming community. Yet, when questioned about whether agriculture was indeed a government focus, Starmer denied it, causing the situation to spiral out of control. The entire parliament couldn't tolerate the blatant hypocrisy, and uproar broke out. Lawmakers shouted shame, shame, leaving Starmer to regret his remarks. But what exactly did Starmer claim, and how did the chamber react? Farming's right at the forefront, as far as I'm concerned. In this video, let's uncover the full story. The atmosphere within the House of Commons grew heavy with unease as Keir Starmer, Britain's Prime Minister, became ensnared in a controversy of his own creation. The instant he declared that farming topped his priorities, the hall exploded, not in support or approval, but in sheer outrage and disbelief.
It's not high in the pecking order for this government. Given the heartless family farm tax, is his minister correct? Yes or no?
Farming's top of the agenda as far as I'm concerned. That's why we put £5 billion to support farmers in the budget. They failed to spend
This political storm began with a startling confession from Labour's own Minister of State for Food, Agriculture and Fisheries, Daniel Ziegner, just days before. Ziegner addressed a gathering of farmers in Norfolk, a hall filled with people whose livelihoods form the backbone of Britain's food security, and dismissed agriculture as a matter of minor importance. His words landed with breathtaking disregard, as though he had no sense of the political time bomb he had just ignited. For those working the land, already anxious about the looming inheritance tax adjustments, his remarks struck like a hard blow. Many had trusted, or at least wished, that the administration would stand behind them amid an increasingly unstable agricultural market. Instead, they were bluntly informed that their needs ranked low on Labour's list of concerns. And yet, the Labour Party has long claimed to champion the farming community, insisting that it is the Conservatives who show no regard for rural Britain.
Well, I think for a long time they were considered to be the party of our counties and our shires and of the farming community. Yeah. And I've got to tell you, over the last 13 years, they have completely demolished that reputation with the way that they treated farmers, the way that they've dealt with our food security. Where, on one hand, you've got farmers who feel so frustrated that they haven't got government support. And if you're a consumer, you're going into the supermarket and seeing that shelves are empty. Why? Because the government are not on the side of farmers, they're not on the side of food security. And as a result, in the end,
But now it's the Labour Party that has chosen to keep farmers uninformed and seems intent on penalising them. The reaction was instant. Farmers nationwide, industry figures, and rural advocacy groups erupted in outrage. Their anger wasn't sparked by a single reckless statement, but by a recurring pattern of disregard, a feeling that their livelihoods were being traded away for the government's larger political goals. Once Ziegner's comments became public, Starmer faced two options. He could either admit his administration's real position, acknowledging that agriculture wasn't central to Labour's agenda, or attempt to limit the fallout by disowning his minister's words. He went for the latter, but it collapsed disastrously. Farming's right at the forefront, as far as I'm concerned. Before we move forward, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive insights into the seismic shifts shaping British politics. Let's continue. As he stood before the Commons, Starmer inhaled deeply and insisted that agriculture was at the very heart of his priorities. Perhaps he thought it was a harmless remark, a quick line to dismiss the growing scandal and shift focus. Yet he utterly failed to foresee the magnitude of fury already burning across the nation. The instant those words were spoken, Parliament erupted. The opposition, the Conservative benches, and even members of his own party couldn't restrain their outrage. MPs shouted him down, denouncing his claim as nothing more than an empty, cynical fabrication. Everyone in that chamber knew he wasn't telling the truth. The moment was so charged that it went beyond ordinary political sparring. There was no space for doubt. Farmers across the country, industry representatives, and even Labour's own insiders had already exposed the fact agriculture simply wasn't a governmental concern. And still, the Labour Party remained dismissive, treating the matter.
So I want the Minister, Mr Speaker, to look me in the eye. Sam Wilson is a farmer in Ashfield. He's not a rich man. In fact, he's not drawn a wage in the past 4 years. So I want the Minister, Mr Speaker, to look me in the eyes and tell me how many farmers he's spoken to over the past few months that actually agree with this harebrained scheme.
Yeah. Minister?
Well, the last farmer I spoke to over the weekend congratulated me on what we were doing.
Minister. Well, the last farmer I spoke with over the weekend praised the steps we were taking.
Farmers still get a privileged status for their farms, and I think that may or may not be right. I'm personally in favour of doing to farmers who want to go on the streets, we can do to them what Margaret Thatcher did to the miners.
So just to be clear, John, you would, beat them up?
No, close them. I mean, this is an industry we could do without.
So, okay, all right, so this got weird. So you would do to farmers what Margaret Thatcher did to miners, which was, she used very heavy-handed police tactics, followed by what? Putting them out of business.
If people are so upset that they want to go on the streets and spray slurry on them, then we don't need the small farmers.
Right. Okay, John, I'm not sure that's a particular... just to clarify, you were a former Labour special advisor, possibly emphasis on the word former there, but...
And yet, there stood Starmer before them, refusing to acknowledge the obvious truth. Lawmakers launched their accusations. How could agriculture possibly be a top concern when his own minister had stated the complete reverse? How could he ask Britain's farmers to believe in him when he had failed to address their deepening worries over the crippling effects of the government's inheritance tax measures?
We will fight till the death because we love what we do. We produce the food for those that are trying to tax us. And if they think that we're going to give up, we're not giving up.
We could stop the country, and I don't think they realise that. So we're not giving up. We're not going to be able to afford to continue. The inheritance tax is going to finish us off.
All are honest, hard-working, easy targets. Tax them, tax them, tax them, tax them. Tax them to death. And it's not right.
This government is screwing the British agriculture, the fishing industry, the haulage, and all the power and infrastructure of the country. And without that, we can't continue.
What would you say to Keir Starmer if you could have a quick word with him?
I just wish he'd never been born. I can't stand the bloody man. He is the worst Prime Minister we've ever had in this country.
He's not listened to us. He doesn't know the struggles that we go through. He doesn't understand it. He's not tried to listen to us. He said that he's not going to tax the working man. Well, what is the working man? I don't think there's anything else to describe a working man than a farmer.
This inheritance tax has come in, has made things basically the last nail in the coffin. If this tax goes ahead, there will be no food in the supermarkets for them.
What do you say to people who say, well, everyone else has to pay inheritance tax, so why not farmers?
I don't know. I think we're farmers. We don't make much money. We kind of jog along as we are. If you want food, you kind of got to suck it up. It's one of those things. Obviously, I understand what they say, but we still pay a lot of tax. It's not like we just don't pay anything.
The cries of shame reverberated through Parliament, a raw expression of fury from a country exhausted by deceit. In that instant, Starmer's carefully crafted facade crumbled. The question that lingers after this disastrous encounter is straightforward: what becomes of a leader when he's caught lying so openly, so brazenly, and before the entire nation? For Starmer, this wasn't merely a rough day in the Commons, it was a turning point that will shadow his leadership. Trust remains the most precious currency in politics, and once it's squandered, recovery is nearly impossible. Farmers will remember this moment. So will the British public, who witnessed their Prime Minister unmasked, mocked, and disgraced on a national platform. Now, Starmer has lost the confidence of rural Britain, alienated those who once counted on his backing, and weakened his stance against a rising opposition. As he departed Parliament that day, the echoes of shame still followed him. And far beyond Westminster's grand corridors, farmers heard those words and knew, with absolute certainty, that their Prime Minister had abandoned them. What do you think? Should Starmer remain in office despite his repeated dishonesty? Isn't it evident that he disregards the democratic ideals of Britain, the very cradle of democracy? Share your views below on how the Labour government's position on agriculture exposes its broken promises, destined never to be kept. Would you like to see more videos like this? If so, please like, share, and subscribe for continued updates on British politics and the dramatic changes shaping it. Until next time, stay tuned.